Okay.
All right.
We're live now, Councillor D, so we can make a start.
Right. Okay, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to Teams. Right, have we got, this is my last meeting, and I just thank you all very much and hope you all behave so that we can all get through this. So we'll go item 1. Apologies.
Pauline, thank you as a councillor, and I think you've been a great support on the Fire Authority, and wish you the very best of health as well. And I hope WEM is in safe hands as well.
Yes, and me. I really do. Yes. All right.
Found out that Chris is leaving as well.
Yes. That was a shock.
Yes.
Yeah. Never mind.
Can I just personally say thank you to yourself as well? You know, since I got on the Fire Authority, I was on since 2017. You really have helped me a lot, and through my time at Shropshire Council. So sad to see you go, but I'd like to just say thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Paul. It's been lovely having you as a colleague and a friend. It's been great. All right, then. Thank you. Apologies for absence, then, please, Lynn.
Sorry, Chair. Just before we do apologies for absence, do you have your Chair's briefing note? I need you to read out about the live streaming. I'm sorry. Well, I'm happy to do it for you if that's.
Yeah, please.
Easier.
Yeah, I haven't got that.
So I've emailed it to you. So I apologise.
I haven't found. Sorry.
That's okay. Don't worry. So if I can just read out that, obviously the Chair would normally read this, but it's just we're obliged to inform you that the non-exempt part of the meeting is being live streamed and recorded, and members of the public will see and hear the meeting as it is happening. Members are asked to mute their microphones unless asked to speak to prevent any background noise from interfering with the meeting. Members are also asked to refrain from speaking across each other. If you wish to ask a question or make a comment, please indicate this via the chat or hand functions on Teams. Officers will be invited individually to deliver their papers. At the end of each paper, the Chair will refer to the chat function to address any comments or questions. When discussions are completed, the Chair will ask for a proposer and a seconder, and members are asked to do that either via the hand function or the chat function. For decision items, we will take a roll call vote, although obviously there are only 3 members present today. And for information items, we'll take those items on an exception basis. So the Chair will ask if there are any members who wish to abstain or are against the recommendation to note, and we will obviously note those down. We'll then move on to the next paper and invite the next officer to speak. Apologies for having to do that, Chair, but I'll now hand back over to yourself and we'll start the meeting with the apologies.
Right, thank you. I was sat out in the garden having lunch, so I didn't look up my email.
That's okay, Chair.
All right, then. So apologies for absence.
So apologies for absence. We've got Councillor Adams, Councillor Blundell, Councillor Minery, Councillor Price and Councillor Sahota.
Right, thank you. Okay, and item 2, disclosable pecuniary interest. Has anybody that got anything? Anything to do with the pensions? I believe, because we did have a late paper, didn't we, on pensions?
Chair, there are some pension board minutes, but you are okay to stay in for those. There won't be any discussion. Yeah, right. It's just for noting. So
yeah, right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
3, public question time. Have we got anybody?
No public questions, Chair.
Right, item 4 then, the minutes for decision, attached mark item 4. So has everybody, those that read it that can vote, is everybody happy with what was in the minutes last time? Can I have if everybody's happy with them, can I have a proposer and seconder, please? Is anybody proposing? Oh, well, I'll propose from the Chair. Somebody second, please. Okay.
I was absent at that particular meeting.
And Paul wasn't here either, was he? No. No.
That's okay, Chair. I can agree those via the other members.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
That's item 4. Item 5, which is committee terms of reference. Who wants to lead on that?
That's myself, Chair. Thank you. Okay, so this is the standard report that comes to the committee annually. It asks the committee to review its terms of reference and to make any recommendations for necessary amendments to the Fire Authority for agreement. Officers have reviewed the terms of reference that are attached at the appendix to the report. There is one or two minor changes to them, which are any references to service targets within the terms of reference. These will now be known as corporate performance indicators, and the terms of reference have been amended accordingly. The committee is also able to make any other amendments that it deems appropriate. So I will hand over to members for any questions or any further comment.
Have the two members read these? I find them all right. Can't see anything that's going to move anything.
No, I can't see any concerns either.
Right. Okay. Would you like to propose then, John?
Yeah, I'll propose those.
Okay.
Okay. Seconded.
Seconded. Thank you, Paul. And we're all in favour. Thank you very much. That's very explicit. Thank you. Right. Item 6: review of member role descriptions.
Okay. That's myself again, Chair. Thank you. Again, this is a paper that comes annually to the committee to review the role descriptions for the chair and vice chair of the committee, the member champion for risk management and audit, and the Fire Authority's independent person. The review of that role description also sits with this committee. Those 4 role descriptions have been reviewed and are attached to the appendix. Again, there is only one minor change to the member champion for risk management and audit, and as in the previous paper, that is a reference to service targets, which is now amended to refer to corporate performance indicators. Again, the committee is able to make any further amendments that it deems necessary. So again, I will hand back over to members if there's anything that they wish to add or any questions that they wish to raise.
No, I mean, we were quite happy with it. It's just that one amendment, isn't it? So it's no problem. I think I've chaired most of these meetings, which I'm glad to do. Yeah. And so can I have a proposer, please, and seconder that we accept this, unless anybody's got anything they want to say? John or Paul, are you all happy?
Yeah, I propose those. I can't see no problem again. There's no concern.
I'm happy to second that as well. There's not much changes really.
That's it. No, it's very good. Great report. Thank you very much indeed. So we'll accept these. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Item Code of Corporate Governance 7A. Who's lead on that? Is that Rod or Jed?
Chair, if I can, it's Joanne, and I'm presenting this on behalf of Jed Edwards, who can't be at the meeting today. Right. This report presents the draft code for consideration and recommendation to the authority. It's the annual review of the code that's been written in line with SIPFA guidance as in previous years, and although not a legal requirement, it is considered best practice to review this annually and bring it back to the authority. This will be referred to when we publish the annual governance statement, which will be published alongside the statement of accounts in July or September. The code's been reviewed with officers and limited changes have been required. Where we've had to change our arrangements or adapt things slightly due to the pandemic, that has been referenced within the updated code. So members are asked to consider the code and recommend to the authority. Thank you, Chair.
Excellent. Has anybody got any comments they want to make, members or officers? Nobody? No, I think it's all self-explanatory, isn't it? And it's another good thing that's why this is such an efficient fire authority. That all these reports are so good. All right, anybody got anything they want to say? Because if not, I'll propose from the chair that we accept this. Seconder? Paul?
Yep,
thank you.
second.
You happy, John?
Yeah, and all the other of us.
All right. Any of the officers want to say anything? Okay, nothing? Right, thank you.
I agree with your statement. It's an excellent fire authority, and I just hope it's maintained this way.
Well, it will, as long as it stays in these safe hands, we're all right. Yeah, thank you. We're very blessed having such good officers. 7B and internal audit report on corporate governance. Is that Avatar? Who's that?
Chair, that's Joanne again. This is the.
Sorry.
That's okay. This is the internal audit report following the review of the Code of Corporate Governance. It has been reviewed, and we have an assurance level of good on the actual update. So this is for members' information.
That's it. Okay, well, we'll receive that, and yeah, it's so good, you know, when you can look at something and feel confident, and you think some of the poor organisations are getting thrashed at the moment. You know, it must be a joy for the auditors to be able to do this report, and something so thank them very much. Thank you. All right. Yeah. Okay, we'll receive that, John and Paul. Right, I think we've lost Paul. Okay, right, 7B. We're getting through this quite nicely, aren't we? Right, 8. External audit.
Thank you, Chair. So first of all, I'd just like to introduce myself because it's my first committee. I'm Avatar Sohal. I'm a director in the public sector audit team for Grant Thornton in the Midlands. I'm taking over as engagement lead from, I believe it was Richard who did it previously. Richard's retired now, so he's just basking in the sun as we speak. And I just wanted to say, like, I've been in public sector audit for close to 15 years now. I've worked across many authorities across the West Midlands, and I'm also going to be engagement lead on Hereford and Worcester Fire and West Midlands Fire. So I have, you know, having a bit of a sector specialism around the fire authorities that we're working on. So now I'm just going to go into the report. I'm going to take the report as read, but I'll summarise just some of the key actions from our audit plans. So if we look on page 82 of the pack, we have a summary slide. In terms of significant risks for the financial year, we have 3, which is one is management override of controls, which is in relation to ISA 240. This is around fraud, which is applicable to every single financial statements audit that any audit firm, audit practice does across any audit sector. So it's a presumed risk. So it's nothing that we believe there's a risk specifically for the fire authority. It's an area of focus on all audits. Then we have 2 specific risks, one on valuation of land and buildings, which is probably similar to prior year audits, and secondly, the valuation of the net pension fund liability. Both of these are complicated estimates, and that's why we make them a significant risk, because there is a likelihood that they could be materially misstated if there's some errors in the calculation, etc. And therefore we give specific focus when auditing these balances. The audit materiality is around 0.49 million this year, which equates to approximately 2% of prior year gross expenditure. When we've set materiality, we try and keep it consistent with the prior year and not to deviate it between years so much. So you can compare audits year on year. When we come to our actual audit findings report, we will report anything which is over a 0.025 million difference. So that's made to aware in our findings report. This year, the value for money arrangements are changing, and therefore we're having to do more work. The changes are, there's more details in the changes in the report, but it's really down to changes in the code of practice where they're asking auditors to do more work on specific areas of VFM. In the past, you would have probably seen a general commentary around VFM, but now we have to do more specific work, and it will be more. When we come to present our findings, it will be in a bigger letter, which we will present. In terms of audit logistics, we are underway with our audit planning, and we've discussed with Joanne, and we're looking to finish, do our final fieldwork work during the summer period, and we are aiming to meet the statutory deadline of the 30th of September to get our audit completed by. as you can see, our audit fee has increased from the prior year, and the fee's gone up to £36,716. But this is mainly due to the fact that we're having to do more work. So one around value for money, and the other around changes in auditing standards, ISA 540 and ISA 270, which basically we're adding additional costs in just to represent the additional work that we're doing. In regards to the audit fee, we've already submitted proposals to public sector audit appointments, who then moderate the fee and make sure that it's appropriate for the entities that we're charging to, so that no entity is getting overcharged, etc. Public sector appointments have actually, in principle, agreed the fee, but we can't raise it at this point in time until the conclusion of the audit, because that's how the process works. So that's just a brief summary of the audit plan. Happy to take any questions.
Could I just ask, who's asked for this increased work? You know,
so it's changing in accounting standards. One is like every year, some of the accounting standards can change. So when this happens, it means that there's more work. So compared to when we actually won the contract for PSAA, we bid on a specific set of criteria. That criteria has changed, so we have to do more work, and therefore the fee goes up. And secondly, there's been a change in the LG code, which means that the requirements around value for money have increased. So as an auditor, we're doing lots more compared to what we did in the prior 2 or 3 years, and that's what causes the fee increase.
Yeah. Just it seems you know, to sort of a layperson, it seems unfair, doesn't it, that you've been able to tender for a contract, and then part way through the contract, then the fees go up. It's I don't think the general public would understand that, but it, it's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think we fed back on this as part of the Redmond review, etc., just to say, look, we need the scale fees to be rebased to a point where they actually represent the level of work required, rather than having to go through process of fee variations that year on year. If we get the base level fee right, then there's unlikely to be significant variations, and where there are variations, it will be specifically due to one set of circumstances, what an individual audit faces.
Right, lovely. Does anybody else want to ask any questions after? No. Okay. So we'll receive 8A. You haven't done 8B yet, have we? No.
Yeah.
8A. All right. Thank you. We'll receive that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right. 8B. Thank you very much for that.
I'll launch into 8B now as well, because I'll present that as well. So 8B, it's what we have to do as part of the auditing standards is get management's responses to a number of areas in respect to the auditing standards, such as fraud, law, risk related parties. And we basically take management's responses and put it into this report and share it with those charged with governance, just to have a review of the report to say that if the responses actually seem reasonable and in line with your expectations. This report you would have probably seen in prior years as well, so it just brings about what we've done in prior years and updated. So the responses are here in this report are from management, but I just thought I'd give you the context of what the report is for. So I'm happy to take any questions if anyone does have any.
And John, Paul, anything? Is Paul gone? Yeah.
Chair, if I could just make you aware, Councillor Milner's had some issues with his internet connection. He's trying to get back in, but we're okay to carry on at the moment for the information items. So.
All right then. John, have you got anything you want to bring up, or any of the officers want to bring anything?
No, I'm quite happy with that. Thank you.
It's all
sorry about that, everyone.
That's all right, Paul. We missed you. Okay, so then we've just had 8B, inform of the audit risk assessment, and as far as we're concerned, that's all okay, Paul. All right. So we'll receive that.
Thank
Thank you very much, Avatar, for that.
Thank you,
Okay.
Chair.
Right. Right. 9, statement of accounts. Yes.
Thank you, Chair.
All right.
This is our usual review of accounting policies that we used when completing the statement of accounts for 2021. It's considered best practice to allow those charged with governance to review the accounting policies prior to the production of the accounts and their approval in July. Information has also been included on this report on the risks associated with estimates that are used within the statement and how those risks are mitigated. So if we can begin with the accounting policies, the policies that are in place to commence the 2021 financial year are appended to the report. Amendments shown refer to the changes in financial years and also any references to changes in publication dates due to the pandemic last year. There may be some changes this year to approval and publication dates, but those will be amended as and when we receive them. There's no additional accounting policies to bring to your attention this year. And as I said, there may be further changes, but if there are any, we'll bring them to the attention of members as we bring the accounts for approval. Moving on to the estimation uncertainties. This relates to situations where the authority has incomplete or imperfect information, which will only be enhanced by future events. The code requires that we disclose the assumptions that the authority has made about the future and other major sources of estimation uncertainty, as they have a significant risk of resulting in material adjustment in future financial years. So the two major areas that we have as an authority in this area are valuation of property, plant and equipment, and also actuarial valuations of our pension liability. So in order to mitigate the risks of material adjustments in future years, we engage experts to produce the calculations in these areas. We use a RICS qualified valuer to carry out our valuations, and we use a team of actuaries to calculate our future pension liability. So as that work is undertaken, we will give experts a clear brief on what is expected from those exercises, and officers will provide up-to-date information from the outset to enable them to undertake this work. When that work is undertaken, we will do a sense check back on the information that we provided at the beginning of the process to ensure that we're happy with the results of those calculations prior to the inclusion within the statements and their approval by audit teams. So members are asked to note this additional information because it is quite key to the structure of our statements of accounts. But I'm happy to take any questions, Chair. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Anybody got anything?
No, I haven't. I don't know if Paul has.
No, I'm.
No.
It's all
No,
self-explanatory. So, you know, it's written in language I can understand, so that's always a good thing. Yeah. But yeah, simple. So thank you very much. Can I have a proposal? We accept this, please. Seconder. Thank you, John, Paul. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, Joanne, for all that hard work. Amazing. Yep. So we've considered A and we considered B. So that's great. Thank you very much indeed. All right. Item 10, review of anti-fraud, bribery and corruption strategy. So the recommendations are to consider the anti-fraud, bribery and corruption strategy. Okay. So it's Joanne, you again?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Committee's asked to consider this update of our anti-fraud, bribery and corruption strategy and to recommend it to the Fire Authority. This is reviewed annually. There's been minor changes this year following the review, mainly around the removal of the value for money indicator within the strategy. Following approval by the Fire Authority, this will be distributed to all staff for consideration. And I'm happy to take any questions, but as I say, the changes are very minor this year. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, that's great. It's really, it's self-explanatory, and there isn't a lot of difference from last year, is there? So, yeah, anybody, John, Paul, do you want to ask any questions?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think it's, again, another excellent report, you know, and It's making sure that our fire authority is all above board and no anti-fraud activities in our fire authority. It's just a shame that other organisations can't be the same as our excellent fire authority.
That's it. Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. So you propose that we accept this?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Yeah. All right then, Secretary. All right then. Right. Thank you very much. It's very good. It's just so reassuring that that all the I's have been dotted, T's crossed. It's thank you very much, Joanne. Thank you. Now again, it's the annual governance statement, item 11. The progress made against each of the improvements contained in the AGS improvement plan. Right, so who's doing this one then?
Thank you, Chair. In Jed's absence, I'll take you through the paper. So the purpose of the report is to summarise the progress made against the improvements contained in the annual government statement, the AGS, and the committee is asked to note the progress made against each of the improvements contained within the appendix. So the statement contains an appendix, a statement as how effective the authority's various systems of internal control have been in governing the risks to which the authority is exposed. This is known as the Annual Governance Statement, or AGS. Areas of the system of internal control that had been identified as requiring improvement were listed in the AGS, and an action plan was developed to ensure that these improvements progress during the coming year, AGS Action Plan 2021. A copy of the improvement plan is attached to this report as an appendix, and progress against each of the planned activities is also included within that appendix, Chair. Happy to take any questions. I don't propose to take you through the full content of the appendix, but happy to take any questions within. Thank you.
Yeah, so we didn't have a lot to change, did we? There wasn't. Yeah, the improvements, they've all been noted as we've gone through the year. So anybody got any questions they want to ask?
Well, I was just going to comment on the good work being done at the Telford fire station.
Oh yeah. And
pleasing for the scheme at Tweedale. But it's very sad that in Newport, we've had a further break-in at Newport. Terrible. Everybody needs the support of the fire team, and if they go and do break-ins, it's just disgusting, really.
Yeah.
These things shouldn't be happening.
No, it's terrible. Perhaps we need CCTV everywhere, isn't it? It's
that certainly does help, but like in Newport, no police station. It's the lack of police doesn't help either.
That's right. Yeah.
But that's a different matter. But the protection of our fire team, especially in Newport, what had, I believe, a couple of break-ins now.
Yeah. It just seems so sad that some people, they just now have no respect for anything. No matter how good. It's the same, like ambulance drivers have been attacked and fire service, and there just is no respect for anybody anymore, and that is it's very hard. And to break into a fire station, that's just appalling. Dreadful. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Simon. That's really good. So we noted this progress and just hope that there's some way that we can alleviate the problems that are caused by these break-ins. All right, so we accept this. Sorry,
Chair. I think just to give Councillor Thompson, Councillor Milner and yourself a bit of reassurance around Newport as well. I can thankfully sit here and report to you today that no equipment was stolen due to the security measures we got in place at the station with that attempted break-in. And we've also got a debrief that ACFO Dan Quinn will be chairing in the next coming weeks to identify where we can improve our security and our policies even further. So just to provide you with a bit of assurance around that one. Thanks, Chair.
Because they're quite substantial buildings. When I think that apparently the old fire station here in Wem used to be just like a tin hut, and I'm sure that never got broken into because people would never dream of abusing, you know, sort of are these services that help us so much. But so thank you very much indeed. I hope you're reassured, John. Yeah, Paul?
Yeah, sorry, that information will be appreciated to our chair, Councillor Eric Carter, who's one of the Newport councillors as well. So I'm sure Eric Carter will be very pleased.
I will, yeah. Paul, did you wish to speak?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say really that I've been privileged enough to meet many members of Osprey Fire Service, and to think somebody or some people can actually go in and try to take away or thieve stuff, which then could be used to fight a fire, which then could involve their families, which I really do think is a bit sad, really, to be honest with you. Yeah. You know, you never know when that piece of equipment might be needed, and you never know where and when it might be needed. So it's right, a bit thoughtless.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Then you're all happy that we received this. We're asked to note the progress made against each of the improvements, and thank you very much, Simon. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Right. Go on to item 12. Corporate risk management summary. And we're asked to note the contents of the report. So who's doing it? Who's doing it, Simon, again?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think Councillor Thompson just had a hand up there. Councillor, if you want to come in before I start.
Did you want to speak, John? You muted.
Yeah, I was putting my hand up at the wrong time, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. All right then.
That's okay.
Ignore him, Simon. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Right. So again, I'll present this report in the absence of Jed for the meeting. So the report is to update members on the status of risks on the corporate risk register. The recommendation is that the committee is asked to note the contents of the report. Following discussions with the risk member champion and the vice chair of the Standards Audit and Performance Committee, the format of the report has been changed slightly to previous reports. Appendix A is a summary of the corporate risk register, and Appendix B goes on to further provide detail that is captured against each risk within the register. The purpose of risk management is not to eliminate all the risk, but to reduce the risk to a level the authority is prepared to tolerate. The table in Appendix A of the report shows the current risks on the corporate risk register, and Appendix B, as I've previously stated, shows that detailed information against each of the individual risks. It's been changed slightly to incorporate the risk title, the risk owner, a description of the risk, the countermeasures that are either being applied or officers are working to apply, the level of risk without controls, the level of risk with controls, and an assessment of the current level of risk. There's also a narrative column provided to enable risk owners to comment on the information where relevant to give, and also to give members of the authority a fuller understanding of some of the controls and risks the service face. The current position is there are no changes to the direction of travel for any of the risks currently on the risk register. A new risk relating to the delay in implementing the new fitness standard has been added as an additional risk that we are currently managing within the service. Again, the appendix is there for your perusal, and happy to take any questions, Chair.
Yeah, there was quite a lot of debate and talk about over the fitness at the risk management yesterday. Yes, really good that getting on top of everything, and it's been proactive rather than reactive all the time. That's helped keep this. Gentlemen, have you got anything you want to say? Anything? No? No, Paul? John? Okay, so I'll propose that we note the contents of the report. Paul seconded, and John, thank you. Okay, thank you very much again, Simon. Thank you. Right, 13A is performance monitoring. Corporate performance indicators 2021-22. Asked to note the corporate performance indicators for 21-22 and the rationale that has been used to set these indicators. So, Simon, you again.
Thank you, Chair. I do apologise. I seem to be hijacking the meeting with the last three papers, so I'll try and get through this one in a speedy fashion for you as well. So corporate performance indicators for 21-22. The purpose of the report is to highlight to Standards Audit and Performance the corporate performance indicators that have been agreed by Strategy and Resources Committee at its meeting on the 18th of March. Just to give you a bit of background, in 2015, the Fire Authority agreed its strategic objectives and a number of service delivery targets as part of a 5-year plan. The majority of that 5-year service delivery targets were set based on the aim of improving performance by 25% over the period. The only exception to this being that of the meeting of the response standard on at least 89% of occasions. In 2019-20, the Fire Authority agreed a 12-month extension in related to the Integrated Risk Management Plan, which will now be known as the Community Risk Management Plan, and this is incorporated into the targets below, which were agreed by the Strategy and Resources Committee in March of last year. So there's the 7 performance indicators that we were previously working to, with numerical targets against each of those. The example that I will give to you just for awareness there, accidental primary fires, no more than 433, with the other 6 indicators thereafter. The proposed corporate performance indicators moving forward, or the proposal that went to Strategy and Resources, is to support the implementation of a new set of performance measures, and work has already been undertaken by the Strategic Advisory Group and the Fire and Rescue Authority and its committees to gain approval for the targets within this report. To further support engagement, several planning meetings have been held since January of this year, with the Chair of Strategy and Resources to ensure the committee are cited on the indicators prior to its approval at meeting on the 18th of March. The current service targets are factored, as I've previously said, around numerical measures, and this doesn't allow us to have a tolerance set against each of the indicators. This approach leads us to focusing on specific targets as opposed to the direction of travel and future forecasting of performance. And the example I used previously there, accidental primary fires, we worked to a figure of 433, and the response standard 89%. So you can see they are very numerically based targets. The new set of performance indicators will provide the ability to monitor performance through the direction of travel and ensure that it is in line with performance targets through applying a tolerance as opposed to a numerical target. Following significant work during January and February, the service are now in a position where a set of corporate performance indicators have been agreed, and these will include the following. So it's all fires as opposed to just accidental dwelling fires that we were looking at previously. We will then break that down into accidental dwelling fires, deliberate fires, fire-related deaths and serious injuries, fires confined to room of origin, injuries sustained to staff through operational activity, the response standard, and there are 2 new areas that we want to include in our corporate performance indicators, and these are fires in regulated buildings, which will allow us to apply scrutiny to our protection-based activities, and the 9th CPI will be diversity, establishment and firefighter competence, which again allows us to apply scrutiny and rigour to our people strategy. The service targets for 21-22 were agreed by Strategy and Resources at its meeting on 18th of March, and they have now been included in the annual service plan for the forthcoming year, and performance will be monitored through Standards Audit and Performance Committee moving forward on a quarterly basis. In light of this, it is useful for the committee to have an awareness of the rationale behind the latest target figures. Accordingly, each indicator is displayed within the report with a proposal for any tolerance or alternative monitoring method. So I just want to give you a real quick overview, if I may, of the 9 indicators, so you can understand some of the rationale that we've applied to the corporate performance indicators. So CPI 1, looking at all fires. The proposal is to apply a 5% tolerance due to the fact that the indicator is volatile in terms of the variance in year-on-year figures. This is also in line with the variance over the last 6 years, with the projection for next year, which sits at 4.6%. So we feel that 5% tolerance will allow us to monitor the trend lines quite effectively for CPI 1. CPI 2, accidental dwelling fires. We are looking to apply a 10% tolerance on the year-on-year figure. And as it stands, we can demonstrate a downward trend line. The 12-month projection has been calculated taking the average over the 6-year period, and it does indicate a slight rise and takes into account the slight rise in 2021. However, it's noteworthy that 2019 to 2020, there was a slight rise in incidents as well, and the CPI still has the potential for variance over the next reporting period. I think it's key moving forward that the performance and risk group that will meet monthly in terms of the service performance and risk will monitor this and evolve these targets over the coming 12 months as well. CPI 3, deliberate fires. Performance against this CPI since 2015 and its inception has been strong, with a figure of 520 incidents set for 2019-2020 and also for last year, which was achieved with a significant reduction thereafter as well. As you can see from figure 6 on the graph, we actually achieved 293 last year, so significant reduction against the 520 target. The proposal regarding the CPI is to apply a 7% tolerance, as this will be representative of the variance between 2015 and the projected figure for 21-22. CPI 4, fire-related deaths and injuries. This indicator remains low, thankfully, in terms of numbers, which is a reflection of performance against other indicators within this document, such as our dwelling fires reducing, therefore has an impact on fire-related deaths and serious injury. The service deliver prevention, protection and response activities to save life, and our ambition is to achieve 0 fire deaths and 0 injuries. It would therefore not be possible to apply a lower tolerance to a figure of 0. We therefore propose that a narrative for any incident will be provided to this committee moving forward. CPI 5, fires confined to room of origin. From analysing the data within the table, it appears there is volatility within the CPI. The graph looks really volatile. However, when you look at the axes that are provided on the report, the actual variance is only 2.32% over the 6-year period. The proposal, therefore, is to apply a 2% tolerance, as this will capture the majority of the variance throughout that period. CPI 6, again, injuries sustained to staff through operational activities. I'm pleased again to say that this indicator has continued to reduce since 2016, which is a success in terms of reducing injuries to our people. Our ambition, again, is to achieve 0 injuries, and it would therefore not be appropriate to apply a lower tolerance, as it would an upper and lower tolerance, as it would suggest we are accepting of injuries to staff. Again, the proposal is that we will report any injuries to staff through a narrative similar to that for fire-related deaths and injuries. Just to give you an idea of numbers, the table is provided there in the report with a figure of 13 projected for this year, which again is phenomenal compared to where we were 2016-2017. CPI 7 is probably one that sees significant change. This is our response standard. Our previous target was the first fire engine will arrive at an emergency incident with at least 4 firefighters within 15 minutes on 89% of occasions. Through consultation as part of the production, adoption and implementation of the Community Risk Management Plan for the coming 4 years, a new response standard has been agreed, and it's been split across 3 distinct areas. These being urban, where a fire engine will arrive in 10 minutes, town and fringe, where a fire engine will arrive in 15 minutes, and rural, where a fire engine will arrive in 20 minutes. The proposal is for the service to monitor against these 3 areas as separate measures and report Standards Audit and Performance Committee, comparing each one independently, as opposed to a generic figure that we used to report on. I'll now move into the 2 new performance indicators, fires in regulated buildings. This is a proposed new indicator to provide a high-level overview linked to protection activity within the service. Due to current figures being low in relation to this corporate performance indicator, the proposal is to provide a quarterly overview to authority with a narrative to support understanding and also what action has been taken by our protection team as a result of a fire occurring. So this is more around our protection and our enforcement activity. And finally, CPI 9, diversity, establishment and firefighter competence. This is looking at our people strategy and applying scrutiny and rigour to ensure that we apply the correct measures to support that strategy moving forward. Again, it's there to provide a high-level link to the people element of the service. The proposal for reporting against this CPI is to report quarterly to Standards Audit and Performance Committee in relation to firefighter competence, and annually on diversity and establishment figures. Firefighter competence is critical to ensuring the service is able to deliver a safe, effective and assertive response when attending emergency incidents. It is therefore the aim of the service to ensure that all staff are trained appropriately to deliver their core functions and also any specialist functions attributed with their location of work. For example, a swift water rescue technician based at Shrewsbury. It's therefore proposed that a tolerance is not attached to this CPI, but an attainment figure of 90% against each skill set would be our aim. This is due to the fact that there will inevitably have members of staff and our operational workforce absent from the workplace due to planned and unplanned absence, and individuals who are in the process of obtaining those qualifications. When analysing current sickness data, the service has an average of 7% absence at any one time, so 90% feels a stretch target, but one that we should aim to achieve. So in conclusion, it's envisaged that the proposals outlined within this paper will evolve and mature over the next 12 months and will be constantly monitored and refined to ensure they remain accurate and relevant. Further work is currently underway to determine the viability and opportunity to incorporate a further 2 corporate performance indicators, one which will focus on finance and the other one on the environment. And this is planned into the evolution of the indicators. Work will also continue to identify any further proposals that will add value to service performance. That brings me to the end of the areas that I wish to highlight from the report, Chair. More than happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, has anybody got any questions? Yeah. Has anybody got anything? I just wanted the diversity. Is that bringing in people from other backgrounds into the fire service? Yeah, because the firefighter competence. I'm just concerned if you've got people who are fasting, etc. Are they going to be able to cope with being able to? Will that be approved as firefighting competence? Because I'm just a bit worried, but for their strength, is that?
Yeah, absolutely, Chair. So in terms of diversity, we're always looking to recruit staff from to represent the communities we serve, and from diverse backgrounds. But absolutely taking into account your point there around certain religious activities such as fasting, for instance. We would work with the individual and any religious leaders to ensure that they were able to carry out their duties during that time as well. And obviously their welfare is constantly under supervision there as well.
Yeah, that's it. Because I would hate to think that somebody would feel that they couldn't be part of this the fire service because of these religious differences. And it's just so that they know that we have taken this into account when we've been discussing the performance of our firefighters. So that's all right. Is anybody else? Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about deliberate fires. Do you think this has gone down due to a lot of people being at home and being able to see what's going on? And when people actually get back to work and the houses are empty more, so people don't see what's going on, do you think that's going to go up? That's the first question, if that's okay. And the second one, how do you determine between town and fringe? What is the cut-off point for a town becomes a fringe and then a fringe becomes urban? Because obviously Alstray's got a very rural community around it as well, so it'd be interesting to know how that actually works.
Yeah, no problem at all, Councillor. So I'm just noting that down so I don't miss the second part of the question out for you.
Sorry.
No, that's absolutely fine. So in terms of deliberate fires, We didn't see an increase in what we would class as predominantly deliberate fires, but what we have seen during the pandemic is a rise in secondary fires. So that may be bonfires in people's gardens, or waste being set fire to on the side of the road because fly tipping, etc. When we did some work around that with the prevention team, it will come as no surprise, and I think I've mentioned it a few times on these meetings, is the local recycling centres were shut for a period of the pandemic, so people were therefore disposing of waste either in a legal way and burning it, or it was catching fire as a deliberate act if it was left in an open area rather than a rear secured garden. And obviously fly tipping was identified as an area that we needed to support local authorities on in identifying fly tip areas as well. So although we didn't see an increase in just deliberate fires, we did see an increase in secondary fires over that period. So I hope that answers your first question. And in terms of the second question around how do we determine what's town and fringe, rural and urban, we've worked with a company that provide us all our data for the community risk management plan, and we work on what we call super output areas, or SOAs, and that will be per head within a certain area. So it's all done on population figures there as well, Councillor. So in terms of Oswestry coming under a town and fringe, that's how we work. It is on per head population within those super output areas. So it's got some science behind it as well, and I'm more than happy to share that with you if you'd like to look into that further.
Okay.
Yeah, if you could, that'd be great. Thank you, Simon. Thank you.
No problem.
Dan? Dan?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, everyone. It was just to kind of support Simon in the paper and update the committee that in order to kind of close the circle on the previous performance indicators, I'll be bringing that annual performance report to the next meeting, and that will close the cycle for the previous performance indicators. And then, as Simon has highlighted there, we'll then continue a quarterly update to this committee on the 9 CPIs that Simon's just outlined for us.
Great, that's great. Thank you very much. Okay, so yeah, really, it's a great report. You know, I think it covers everything, doesn't it? Brilliant. Yeah. Okay. All right, Paul.
Yeah, just the last one. I think one of the main ones is actually the reduction of injury to firefighters. I think that's brilliant. I think that's absolutely brilliant. Hopefully that will continue to go down over the years.
That's brilliant. Okay, so are you proposing we accept the Paul?
Yeah.
Accept it? And
Yeah.
Seconded. Yep, they're all in favour. Thank you very much for that report. It's excellent. Thank you. Right, we go on to 14 standards. So who's doing this? We haven't got a paper to this, and I've noticed.
That's me, Chair. Thank you. It's Lynn. Okay, so these two items at 14A and 14B are for information only and are just a verbal update to the committee. The first one is around code of conduct complaints. So we're not legally required to report on these, but it is good practice for members to receive an update on them. And I'm pleased to say that we've had no complaints against members during the period 2020 to 2021. So we hope that that continues. And then on item 14B, members should be aware that we have 2 protocols, which are the Member Officer Relations Protocol and the Gifts and Hospitality Protocol. We review those annually, and we currently have no amendments proposed to those protocols. So it's just for the committee's information, Chair, just to note.
Right, thank you very much. That's excellent. Thank you. Do appreciate that. All right, so that's that. And I didn't thank you, Simon, for your all those reports. I didn't thank you properly, but I really appreciate all your hard work. Thank you. Oh, you're back again.
No problem, Chair. Thank you.
Yeah, I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's so good because, you know, sometimes some officers try to blind us with science. Not our Section 151 officer, I have to say. I can always understand his stuff. Thank you, James. But they do try and. But I think we're getting quite wise now, aren't we, as councillors, Paul and John? Yeah. So it's very good. And right, so we've got 14B. Is it review of protocols?
Sorry, Chair, I just covered that one
Oh, you
off.
did. I beg your pardon. Yeah, sorry, I hadn't crossed. I do cross them all. Yeah, 15, member development.
Thank you, Chair. That's myself who's going to present that again. So this report covers member development for 2020-21 and for the coming year 21-22. Within the report, we've set out progress against member training for 2020 and 2021. Obviously, the pandemic had an impact on the training that we were able to deliver to members, but where appropriate and where possible, we have carried on delivering training via Microsoft Teams. And those sessions are detailed in the report. We've covered things such as unconscious bias and interview skills training, awareness session on the statement of accounts. Members had a risk training session from Zurich Insurance and also a session on the corporate performance indicators that Simon's just talked this committee through was delivered to Strategy and Resources. We then, in section 5 of the report, we have some training proposed for the coming year. I know today that 4 members have taken up an offer of mental health first aid training today. Then we've also proposed to hold an induction session for any new members, which will cover the fire authority and the role of the member. In tandem with that, we'd also hope to run a member development day in July or possibly August 2021. Again, that depends on the COVID restrictions that are in place at the time, but we do hope that we can run this as a physical event with members attending. And we would look to include sessions on committee structure, corporate performance indicators, and some kind of practical demonstration, which is likely to be a water rescue if possible. We've also got in place a training programme for the Strategy and Resources Committee, who've requested particular sessions, and where it's appropriate, we will extend invitations to those sessions to the wider fire authority. This committee is asked to note the training that was carried out last year and to agree the proposed training for this year. Thank you, Chair. Right,
thank you very much. I found it it's very heartening to be able to attend these training sessions, because it's and I think we did write an assessment, and I think everybody was very pleased with the training that we received. Paul, John, is anything? Oh yes, John.
Yeah, I just want to comment on the mental health, fitness health training this morning. That was really excellent. Over 6,000 people in a year commit suicide, compared with like 1,700 people which die through car accidents, and 75% of suicides are actually men. That's some interesting points. I don't know if the fire authority can give support in any way to any fire authority personnel perhaps need any help. So that was really good, and we've had some really good training over the last few years. We also had a day when we went out to different fire stations and different information. We had a good awareness day at Wellington and training at Tweedale for different situations on fire as well. Those sort of would be appreciated again if it's possible to do so. I've noticed that Wellington Fire Station are doing some training. If it's possible to pop down and have a look what's going on, that would be a good thing to go and see.
Thank you, John. Dan?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. From our perspective, once we're out at the other side of COVID and the kind of the last 12 months and the restrictions that's put on us, working with Simon and Lynn, I'm very keen to kind of open the station doors to all of the committee members and the members of the fire authority. And just as you said there, Councillor, getting involved in some of the exercises and some of the drills. My ambition is that I'm able to host you at these events to make sure that you're engaged and can see firsthand the excellent work your firefighters do to the communities of Shropshire. So things such as exercises or working at height, water exercises, all the things that I'd like you to get to your local stations and get to see the crews, have chats and take part if possible.
Yeah, that would be great for them. Yeah, that would have been really good, that. Yeah, thank you. So we'd make a note of that, Lynn, and I'm sure that the members would appreciate that, because it is very good. I think that we've got to show the Fire Authority has to show the firefighters that we do care, and that we're not just sitting, you know, sort of in offices just taking reports, but we really want to know what's going on and how they are feeling. Paul?
Yeah, I've had the privilege actually to witness a couple of training sessions down Osprey Fire Station over the last 4 years, and it really brings home really what they have to do. And as you say, really, we can't really judge by just coming to meetings. We have to get out there and actually see what they actually do themselves. And I take my hat off to everybody, to be honest with you, to do with the fire service.
I'm very keen for you to have that opportunity to make those local connections as well, particularly with your own fire stations. I think it's really important, as you've just said, both councillors, to get that opportunity to share your thoughts and your thanks. And one of my roles, I believe, is to facilitate those opportunities. And Councillor D, you're more than welcome to come back at any time to visit the station.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, because I have been involved on and off with the fire service since 1961, when my late husband joined Bournemouth Fire Station. So I have seen, and you know, because there's none of you will realise, none of you are old enough to realise, you know, the difference that has occurred in the fire service from when I remember at Shrewsbury at the old Cross Hill station, the then fire officer said somebody wanted to know where he could park his car, and he said, "Park a car? A fireman owning a car?" And that was quite, you know, that was so they were quite taken aback, because he expected them all to come in on bikes, and they were full-time firemen. So it's just such a difference, that the respect that there is between the senior officers and the fire. I was going to say the Indians, but you know, the firemen that are on the ground, and I really do appreciate it. It's just amazing the way that that everybody has, you know, they've all sort of come together, and and obviously because of the reports that from this fire authority, it has paid off. And congratulations to all of you on the way that you're working together. So thank you. So that's member development. So we carry on and we go on to 16 pension board minutes, which we're just going to we're just noting the minutes because I have to declare an interest in this. All right. Are you all happy?
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, Chair, if I could just say that the minutes of the pension board, I apologise, they were sent out later after the main papers came out. They are a record of the meeting that's held with the pensions board, which looks after the administration of the pensions contract, and they're brought to this committee for information and for monitoring. So if there's any issues that you wish us to follow up, or you wish to have further information on them, that can be provided. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody got any comments on that? Okay, no, so we will we'll note the minutes of the pension board meeting. Thank you, Chair. Thank you. 17, do I need to read all of this, the exclusion of the press and public?
You do, Chair, I'm afraid.
Right, exclusion of press and public for decision. Members have a discretion to exclude the press and public from meetings of the Fire Authority in defined circumstances. In view of the nature of business to be transacted, it is recommended that under Section 100A(4) of the Local Government Act 1972, having been satisfied in all the circumstances of the case that the public interest in maintaining the exemption outweighs the public interest in disclosing this information, that members formally resolve that the press and public be excluded from the meeting for the following item of business on the ground that it involves the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in para 4 of part 1 of Schedule 12A to the Local Government Act 1972. I so propose. Seconded, please. Paul, thank you.